It's the NUKA-COLA Lounge, presented by the Triple S League.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. This is the Triple S League podcast, coming to you live from the NUKA-COLA Lounge. Obsidian, how are you, sir?
I am doing great. I have mostly recovered from my horrible, disfiguring injuries, so that's good.
Horrible, disfiguring injuries.
Yeah, I had that thing, the Bell's palsy.
Oh, right, yes.
Yes, was not fun at all. I do not recommend it. It was not enjoyable at all.
Yes, so our good friend Saib has spent a good part of the past couple of months with his face, half of his face paralyzed. He had a hard time talking.
I talk like this, and it was not very helpful to try to record podcast.
So he didn't talk a lot, and the rest of us were okay with that. But now he's back, so we're doing podcast. So you're hearing a new voice in the background. We've got Kattie Kat with us. How are you doing?
Hi guys, I'm great.
Awesome. How is the life of a brand new streamer?
Pretty good. I'm loving it, actually.
Awesome. Katie is new to the streaming game, and we met her at a convention this past summer. We did an interview with her, which I still haven't put up on the channel yet, but
somebody here decided that, hey, this summer would be a great time to move their entire family from one city to another.
What a jerk. Who would do that? Who would do that to try to provide...
Who would do such a thing?
To try to provide a better life for his family.
At the same time that I was, struggling with my thing, he's like... I mean, not he, just someone in here decided, oh, hey, let's move.
Hey, I moved closer to you, so,
that was helpful.
I came halfway. Of course, I moved away from Katie at the same time, so whatever.
Yeah. Oh well.
So well.
We're still a split up team for now, but hey, this is hopefully going to be our renewed weekly podcast, which so many people have been missing. Mm-hmm. And probably thought we never do again, but no, it was always meant to come back. It's just, life things are terrible and they get in the way, and sometimes priorities are just not so fun. And then there was also this other thing that I was working on, which we're not going to go into at all, but I will mention it. It was a small thing that I had spent some time doing some data work and research on, and all this fun stuff, called the, it was really tiny, small, very small political event, the American elections. Right. Yes, that thing. That happened, and wow, did that happen.
Yes, it happened.
Yeah.
The entire world is aware of that.
All we're going to go into on that one.
Yeah, well, that one rendered Saib almost catatonic. He's a constant data processing machine, and... it was data overload for a while. But anyway, let's steer away from that. Let's get back to talking about the podcast for a second, because it was about a year ago that Fallout 4 came out, and the popularity of this channel just kind of exploded. By the way, thank you, all of you who have subbed and comment and like our videos and watch our videos. We love you guys. We thank you so much for the support that we've gotten over the past year. Now, we actually started more than a year ago. It was actually 100 days to the day prior to the release of Fallout 4. We released our very first podcast episode. There's some trivia for you. And by the time Fallout 4 came out, we were almost at 100 subs. And I was hoping we would hit that 100 sub mark by the release of Fallout 4. We were just shy of that, but I was like, 100 subs in 100 days. That would be so awesome to say. But anyway, it's been almost 8,000 subs now in over 400 days, and we are just blown away by that. So thank you so much.
It's pretty good stats. So we're really happy, and we want to make the best podcast possible that we can. Yeah, as kind of our renewed commitment to, yes, we are a YouTube channel, and we are going to stick around. It's going to be awesome.
We have no intention of going anywhere. We're looking to expand our
Join
team,
us
which is
regularly for crumpets and tea.
Absolutely.
Don't you mean NUKA-COLA and what are those things called? You know, the things. This is where you jump in and say any food from Fallout 4 because I can't think of one.
Well, I mean, there's the all the stale stuff that's been there for ages. My personal favorite is the rag steak. The rag steak.
Yes.
Rad steak.
The rad steak.
Great.
Rad stag steak. You still can't say it. I don't believe this.
All I see is the first three letters. So but other than that, one of my favorite things is a recipe that we will do is the Smoking Joe's edible coffee cup things. It's a very kind of like hidden recipe, and as you know, we are very good when it comes to the food, and we are going to get back to that. That's something that we've been working on. I've been cataloging new recipes. I do keep things within as much lore as I can, so it does take time to like refine the recipes, do some research, make sure that I'm not adding anything that didn't necessarily or couldn't necessarily exist in that kind of it's a parallel universe pretty much. So just trying to make sure that I stay within the realms of reality. That's very, very important.
I should say this: we often get questions about the Making NUKA-COLA series, and we have been promising for a while that yes, it will be coming back, and it will be. It's a question of finding a good location to actually do the filming, and we finally got, we think, a better location. So hopefully, I mean,
I've also been working on the recipes. There was a lot of new recipes, and I still have some contacts. I'm still trying to get some contacts inside the new dev team, trying to like build that up and make sure that we know exactly what, within the best margin of error, what they were thinking or what they were kind of imagining something to taste like when they create it. Obviously, there's that, you want to stay within the lore, and that's what we had in the original NUKA-COLA. Is over the course of like, a decade, I spoke to devs at conventions and over email, like here, there, and everywhere, and just gathering some, like, in some cases, it was like all I could ask was a single question, and they gave me a quick response. It's like, well, that doesn't help, but I mean, it doesn't hurt, but it doesn't give me a ton to work with. So yeah, it's just great.
Well, but your talent is accumulating knowledge, and you've definitely. When we put up a NUKA-COLA Lounge video, this is another reason why they take so long, and I don't know if I should say, but we actually had 3 more filmed, and then wound up not able to use the footage for a variety of reasons I won't get into, but so we had those. So we'll redo those at some point. Plus, there will be more, and Nuka World actually contained a bunch of insights into certain NUKA-COLA flavors. For example, Wild is actually a root beer flavored cola, and there was a coffee flavored cola that was in development, but NUKA-COLA never they couldn't quite get it right, so it never was released. But it's that's some, I don't know. Do you think we could do that? Could you make a coffee flavored cola?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, there's tons of stuff for that. So it's not even about just like adding lots more caffeine to it. It's like it's adding a bunch of other stuff. So,
well, in the news this week, in gaming news, Battleborn has hit a new low of less than 300 concurrent players at the high point of the week. And I know Katie's a big Overwatch player, so wanted to get your thoughts on these competing MOBAs, if you will.
Did you get a chance to play Battleborn when it was out for the beta?
I actually never got to play it. My brothers did, though. I did watch a little bit of their gameplay. It looked pretty cool, but I never did get the chance.
So let me ask you this. So if you had the chance to play a game that was very much like Overwatch, but it costed you about $80, Canadian or $60 American, or I think it's like £45 British money. If you had the ability to play that at that high cost, knowing that there was almost no population playing the game at all, and that it was really, 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 really grindy, what would your opinion be on that?
I don't really know, honestly. I probably wouldn't really get into it just because it's not that popular. So I mean, it's better to play with more people. You have a better chance of getting into a match and actually playing the game versus having next to nothing and taking forever to get into matches. And yeah, that's the way I think of it anyways.
So, what is it, now Katie, I guess you haven't played it, but Saib, what is it that, what's the difference between the two? Like, well, yeah, what did they do wrong? Like, what did they do that Overwatch didn't
the first thing that they did wrong was they strapped a $60, in some cases, I think the limited edition, special edition was like $80 to $100 for a game that they knew that there was a game coming out from Blizzard that was coming out at a significantly reduced cost.
Yeah.
And just that at first was like, wow, someone did not get the memo at all. And then they kept it very, very restricted. They only gave one free weekend, and they've done, I think they did a free weekend a little while ago. But to give you an idea, it was the fans who actually got together and did a promotional weekend to get more people interested in the game. It wasn't their PR department, it wasn't their social media guys, it was the fans who got together, which you got to say, fan community, good job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
PR department, don't know who's running that, but either you're being restricted a lot or maybe not the right job for you.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, here's a question. Is it so much less popular because it was so much more expensive? And, Overwatch, much less expensive,
There was a few other factors. The characters were less easy to connect with. In Overwatch, you mostly have very human or mostly human and or slightly, not very far off of humanoid-like characters. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing. Even the robots are, appear very human-esque. So,
yeah.
And Katie can appreciate this as a cosplayer, the ability to cosplay, Tracer or any character.
It's just so much easier to cosplay their characters.
Yeah. Whereas when you're looking at, when you're looking at what Battleborn offered, my goodness.
Yeah.
Some of what they offered for cosplay effects are just like nightmarishly bad.
It's ridiculous.
It's really quite disturbing at times. Like the fact that they didn't calculate that in, so there's less of an ability to connect with the characters.
Yeah.
It's not that it's a challenge to cosplay; it's an impossibility to cosplay some of the creatures.
Yeah.
I don't know. Didn't we see someone cosplay as a box this summer?
Yes, that is true. That is true.
No, I get what you're saying, though. So that's something that character designers really need to keep in mind, I suppose.
Yeah, for games that are like, it's one thing to, create characters inside, and we'll talk about this shortly, Mass Effect, that are not human-esque. Like, the Hanar. Hanar and Asari videos, awesome, by the way, just letting you know. The Hanar are these floating jellyfish-like creatures. Now, for character plot story, they're great. However, if you were to try and play one in a MOBA experience, I don't think it doesn't translate. and it doesn't you don't really connect in with the character, and therefore there's a little bit of a space between it. Not to say that we don't want game developers to create awesome new and not human characters, but to understand that when you're trying to push a game that's very social and does have a very strong vibe of going for that esport level, it's got to be something very, very relatable. Cars or humanoids or something that people can relate to. If you have some really weird creatures, I mean, it's tough enough getting people to watch League of Legends, and it's been easier to get people to watch Overwatch than it has been for people to watch to get into League of Legends. The ratio of gain, not the total ratio of viewers, but the ratio of gain has been increased, and there's some crazy numbers there that it's not a perfect example. It's far from perfect, but it does kind of show that if you're moving in that direction, if you're moving in towards a really socialized game, you need to make the characters really, really relatable, and then not always cosplayable. I don't think that's a word, but
cosplayable. Is that what you're saying?
But you have to allow for some real connection there. If I don't connect with a character in a MOBA or in a video game, I have no interest in playing it, and that's what Watch Dogs is suffering from. That's
pretty much my feeling too with everything.
Not many people want to play this middle-aged white guy. We're really kind of done with that character. It's been done so much, and when you have a series of games constantly giving, hey, play white guy middle-aged number 1, and then in the second game, it's a real treat, guys. Got white guy middle-aged number 2. And then, hey, there's white guy number 3 coming up in the next one. It's something that is lazy for developers at this point of the stage. It's lazy for them, and this is Ubisoft. They've had a lot of issues with this in that particular game. Is that we're done playing that story. We're not interested in that story. A lot of people are, but not enough to keep it kind of mainstream. Follow, BioWare's example. Create a really good story. Write it as asexual as you can, and then you can throw in little changes when somebody selects a different race or sex or whatever, and then give players more choice. That choice factor is going to make your game more and more popular, and is going to allow more and more people to connect in with it. When we boot up Mass Effect here in March, by the way, it's coming up March.
Nice.
And you strap in, and you're able to pick between, the sister or the brother, and you could play from those aspects. That's a really great thing. That's an amazing thing. And when you could play as different races in Dragon Age, that is also a great thing. When I play, most MMOs these days, I can pick from a variety of races and a variety of sexes. And those are things that people want. And when you play League of Legends or, any kind of stuff like that, you have such a wide variety. You can really pick and connect in with people. But what Battleborn did wrong is they gave you a little bit too much variety without allowing you to really refine it, or really allowing you to connect in with it. For example, one of the characters is this really southern hick guy to an extreme, not to a generality, but to an extreme. So you didn't really want to play him unless you fit in with that really extreme version of that one type of character. Whereas what's the big fat guy in Overwatch?
Oh, which one? There's a couple of them.
The really big guy with the with the gas mask on all the time. I'm trying to Roadhog, yes. Roadhog, he's kind of that same kind of little bit, but he's not as extreme. And he's extreme visually, and that's a good thing. But he's he's too much extreme with his character, or he's not as to that extreme with his character and personality. So therefore, there's a little bit more of a broader base that can appeal to him. So to sum up, Battleborn went in this direction of trying to offer variety, but they became too pinpointed in the characters. They didn't leave them open enough. At the same time as visually, they made them a little bit too open, and then that resulted in people not really being able to click. The ability to click with a character was where it fell off, and it was a whole variety of reasons that were, at sometimes it's like, well, should we be, more inclusive or less inclusive? And they chose places where they should have been more inclusive, they were less inclusive, and places where they were supposed to be less inclusive, they were way too over inclusive, and that's where they kind of dropped the ball as far as the character design. And aside from that and the cost of the game, that's basically where they dropped the balls, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
Anyone who's watching the video component of this podcast will see that I've been mucking around with trying to put a video up on the screen. There's this video that we did this past summer. We found 3 divas at this one convention we were at, so we interviewed them all at the same time.
Yeah, I seen that video.
Oh yeah, this is my favorite part right here.
I kissed Tracer right in the butt because Tracer booty is big. I kissed Tracer right in the butt because
People were
Tracer
able
booty
to
is
connect
big.
with that character
Yeah.
on a lot of levels. They left it simple. They didn't they let the community expand on the personality, and then they adopted some of those things and are proceeding to adopt them even more, which is good. I don't think they're going to do that for the whole Tracer and fledgling adult industry that they accidentally created. I don't think they're going to do that with it. But as far as most of the fan stuff, they really are connecting in with the fans, and that's where you really set your gold. I mean, League of Legends did that really, really well. Dota did not do that as much as they should have with their characters. I can't name you a single character on Dota, and I played Dota for months. I can't think of any off the top of my head that were interesting and connected with me at all. Whereas I can name you pretty much the entire League roster.
That's me with Overwatch. I could sit here and name off most of the characters on Overwatch.
And you can also name off their personalities and
I can name Tracer, Diva.
Yeah, but you don't play MOBAs.
I know Tracer and Diva because there were so many Tracers and Divas that we interviewed. I wanted to put up on the screen here. I wanted to put up the video of Stacey Roy's Tracer. She was amazing at it, but oh my goodness, she's perfect. It wouldn't read the video format for some reason, but
link in the description.
Link in the description. There you go. I'll make.
Well, there's I'm actually working on a cosplay for Overwatch myself. I'm going to do a gender bend of Soldier 76.
Awesome.
So I'm excited about that.
Love gender benders. There's a couple of gender benders that I really appreciate. There was Roadhog with Jessica Nigri.
Yes.
That one was brilliant.
Awesome. That was
and
amazing.
Smart. Then there was you just search them. There's so many good ones. There was a couple of the guy tracers. These tall, lanky British dudes.
Yeah.
Really athletic guys, and they pull off this amazing male version of Tracer. There's at least 4 of them. So I'm not going to name one in particular. There's at least 4 of them that I thought were just stellar work. Really,
for sure.
So this
really did it.
This Soldier 76 cosplay. Are you making a video for that?
I am actually slowly doing that.
We'll put a link to Kattie's channel down in the description, to her channel as well as her streaming channel.
We haven't launched her channel yet.
Scratch what I just said.
I'm working on it.
I'll take it back.
We're going to launch it very soon.
Yes.
Right.
All right, Ash is in the dark about stuff. This week on the NUKA-COLA Lounge. We've both got such heavy workloads now that half the time Saib and I don't even know what the other one's working on anymore. Like it's just, man.
I work on a lot of stuff that's not this, so that's why Ash does the majority of the stuff on here, is because I'm off doing so many other different things for so many different other stuff. So
yeah.
Anyways, this is our news alert part of the broadcast here. I'm reading that the blob creature. You guys watched the movie Blob, right?
Yeah.
For the old horror movie. Blob has escaped its containing facility where it was being contained, and is now trying to attack the denizens of Santa Carla. You might have seen this on the news. They called it a foam blob, but this is in fact the blob from the movie who escaped. However, upon reaching the new atmosphere, it reacted so badly with the all the pollution in the California area that it basically just died on exposure to the atmosphere. So, not, I guess, something to really worry about. But I gotta say, I'm really disappointed. I was really disappointed in the conspiracy theorists that there was not something like crazy conspiracy that came out right away with this. There's been no conspiracies that I could find. So that was my attempt at trying to drop.
What kind of conspiracy here? Let's invent one. We'll invent one right now, and one of our listeners will go running off with it, and it'll become a big theory. Let's see. So the government has been harboring the foam people from Saturn in Santa Clara, and one of them attempted to escape, and they hosed him. There we go. Proof. Aliens walk among us.
Sounds good to me.
And occasionally they foam among us.
Yeah.
The first thing I thought when I saw that is my goodness, I hope nobody was inside the building, because I'm pretty sure you would die if you got, buried in foam.
Probably.
Feet thick.
Well, it depends what kind of foam. Are we talking a light bubbly foam, or was it like a heavy frothy,
It blew the doors off the building.
It looked pretty heavy. I was looking at pictures and I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh my god, that looks like snow.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. It looked like snow was exploding out of
That
this
was my
place.
first thought.
Actually, speaking of snow, it's local radio station here is playing 24-hour Christmas music already.
Oh no!
As it is, and it has for a couple of days now, and as we're
this is why I stream.
We're recording.
This is why I stream podcasts all day. I don't.
Yeah. We're recording this. It's November 21st. By the way, happy Thanksgiving to our American friends this coming weekend, and hope you all survive Black Friday. But anyway, I heard a song yesterday that I had never heard before. It's another one of these songs about some woman being in love with Santa Claus. What is up with women wanting to get with the jolly fat guy? Maybe you can shed some light on this, Katie?
I honestly don't know. I wonder the same thing.
It's
a little weird.
And this song was a little disturbing. Because this song was a little disturbing because it acknowledged, it wasn't Santa Baby is all cute and innocent.
Yeah.
This one was this girl is pining for Santa Claus and acknowledges that he's married. And he's
was this a new song? Because I don't think I've heard this one before.
I had never heard it before. But she was one of the lines is, I don't want to hear about Mrs. Claus. Maybe I could be your Mistress Claus.
Oh, yeah, I have not heard that one before.
And my other favorite line was, is it true that you're going to make all the bells toll? Is it true that you're going to show me the North Pole?
Oh my god.
My god. Okay, this is definitely a new one. I have never heard this before.
Yeah, it was...
I need to look this up.
I'm trying to find it right now. I'm not having any luck. But my goodness,
I have no idea who sings it or what was it about, but you know what it was called. I mean, I just don't know.
This is what happens when Coca-Cola messes with the Santa Claus advertisement. This is what happens.
Yes,
you heard that. You heard that, right? That Coca-Cola has removed Santa Claus winking in the commercial. It's been there for 40 some odd years.
I know.
And now Santa Claus doesn't wink anymore. I was devastated.
They're trying to take Jesus out of Christmas. They're right up there with.
Dare they?
They're right up there with Starbucks for companies I'm going to boycott this Christmas. There we go. I'm being facetious. I'm being facetious and sarcastic. Yes, I know sarcasm is a little bit. Let me just make that clear. I'm being facetious. I'm not advocating anyone boycott Coke, although Pepsi is better. But maybe I should cut that out, or like maybe I don't want Coke coming after us.
Hey, look, Coca-Cola, if you want to sponsor us, you know, we love the taste of Coca-Cola, and especially Coca-Cola Classic, now available in Zero.
What are you doing?
I'm just saying that Coca-Cola is a fine product that, if they should choose to sponsor us, would probably like to listen to our past broadcasts and make sure we
didn't rag on them. Well, here's a question: when we made NUKA-COLA, did we use Coke stuff or Pepsi stuff?
We didn't use either. We used an independent cola mix that I was able to tweak the recipe on. So it was not necessarily like you can use Coca-Cola.
I think we did in at least one.
Yes, we did. We did in at least one. But once we did the actual mixing, then we stuck with a
for the advanced.
We stuck with a neutral brand. Basically, we didn't want, because they have their own tastes, and I just wanted a straight generic cola, because then that allows me to kind of tweak the tastes on it a little bit more and make it like I can take that stuff and I can make it taste like Coca-Cola, or I can take it and make it taste like Pepsi, and so that gives me a lot more freedom to kind of tweak the recipes on.
That, I believe, was the advanced recipe where we used the cola syrup. I think in the intermediate and beginner's recipe, I think we used bottled cola, but. And we used pink cream soda, which somebody intelligently pointed out. Somebody was able to pinpoint that we're from Canada because of the kind of cream soda we used.
It's not available in the States, no.
But it tastes like regular cream soda. I don't know why it's pink as opposed to, clear, or, I don't know what the difference is. I don't know anything about that stuff.
I like both the cream soda. Cream sodas, Canada, we do have a lot more flavors than America does when it comes to two things. When it comes to chips and when it comes to sodas, we have a ton more, which is great. So
that I didn't know.
Yeah, no, a bunch of my longtime family friends. We lived for a little time. I lived for a little time in Texas. And we introduced some of our Texas friends to dill pickle and salt and vinegar chips. And at first they were disgusted. Now they make us send them boxes of it every year. It's so annoying. It's just order the stuff on Amazon. It's okay.
They don't have salt and vinegar down there?
They're starting to. They're starting to get more flavors.
Salt and vinegar, that's like a staple chip flavor. I mean, I don't like it.
Well, it's not for most places in the world. It was. They're starting to, but a lot of places in the States, you people south of the parallel there, it's not a common thing. So.
All right.
So, what else is in the news this week? We have Watch Dogs 2.
Which we kind of touched on it, and it's honestly it's not worth talking about because apparently most people don't find it worth playing. Just a little funny there. But something that I did want to cover is that PS4 has finally allowed mods to Fallout 4 and Skyrim SE. And the chorus of cheers went up like a great sound from all the gamers around the world. But unfortunately, they're only allowing like light side mods that don't affect graphics or the data integrity of the packs. So like you can't change like you can't add new armors and you can't add like new bodies, which is terrible because I don't know how anybody plays either Skyrim games or Fallout games without a nice CBBE body mod. I just like the regular human models look like these people have been like made out of like Play-Doh by a 5th grader. It's just they don't look good. They don't look convincing as humans. There's a lot of CBBE presets that, let me get clear, do not look human either. But when you find one that's like really realistic and looks really good, it really makes the game so much better, especially the faces. Oh my goodness, I don't know how people play with vanilla faces.
In Special Edition, did they not upgrade those at all? Or did they not to the same extent?
They upgraded the smoothness and the polygon count, but the faces are still like really blocky and very, very not realistic. If you add in a couple of the human face like overtures, then you take a picture of somebody and kind of make them in the game and makes them look really good. So there was a fellow who created you can Google it. Somebody created in Skyrim SE with 250 mods. They managed to create a replica of the first trailer for Game of Thrones season 1. And they did a remarkably good job. Like you could tell it's Skyrim, but the faces and the textures look really, really good. And on some of those faces, like they look really, really like the actors. Others, not so much. But that just happens to be, you can't, like, that's just the problem with the Skyrim engine and whatnot. Right. You can't really make some of those faces look like what they should be. There's certain limitations on it. It's not like Black Desert where you can make anybody. It's amazing, but still, it's really kind of sad that you can't get the really high quality like looking stuff. So but it's still like with the SE, with the mods, faces look really, really good and they look human, whereas they don't look human before it. So that's kind of sad.
Okay, yeah. Mods for PS4. Katie, do you game on a Xbox or PS4? I don't remember now.
Xbox One. I will be getting a PS4 though.
Oh, okay. Well, you can let us know how the modding works on that then.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have you played Fallout 4 or Skyrim
I
on
haven't.
Xbox?
I have Fallout 4, but I haven't touched it yet. I think I might actually save it for one of my Let's Plays.
Okay.
Skyrim, I went over to a friend of mine's who has it, and I played, I think, about an hour or so of it, and it was pretty good.
Yeah. Actually, back to what Saib was saying, I remember Bad Options saying that he was a little let down by Special Edition until he was out of the keep, like the first mission there. He was live streaming it, and he didn't say anything about it on the stream, but he told me after that he was like, until I actually got out into the wilderness, I it didn't look as good as I thought it would. So maybe it was the characters and stuff that he was talking about, because even compared to
yes, well that's the thing, is like the house textures and the player textures were not improved in the way that they should be, the way that they could have been. But the nature scenes, the visuals, the lakes, the waterfalls, the plants, like all of that stuff is really, really like boosted, and it looks really, really great. But see, the thing, like, first day there were mods, almost first day, that brought up the textures from 1080 or 7 up to 2 and 4K, and my rig can't even handle the 2K graphics. So the 4Ks with this amazing, beautiful landscapes that you can see is just absolutely stunning. But once you get those mods on the characters, once we get all the mods, once we get our SK, once we get our SKSE, which is the memory expanded tool for it. I don't know if it's going to come to Xbox. I don't know how that's going to work. But once they get in and bring in all of the additional mods that they can, that game's going to be like just as pretty as any of the new games coming out this year. It's gonna put Final Fantasy to shame for their character. I mean, like I run close to like 300 mods on my it's like 450 mods and like 250 packages on my basic Skyrim, and then Skyrim SE I'm already like hitting like, I've already got like 75 mods on there. So it's getting crazy. It'll get crazier. And that game is going to be around for a really, really long time. So expect some new Skyrim content from us in the near future.
Do your save files transfer?
No, they do not. There's also no reason for them to. I personally find no reason. Like, I guess some people like playing with their old characters, but I just make the same character each time and then play them in vastly different alternate starts. Great mod, definitely recommend that you grab it. You can start as a bandit, you can start as a vampire, you can start the game as anything you want, and then it actually has has quests that feed you into the main quests, which is really cool, because then you can have a humble start as a farmer in one of the holds or tavern patron, and you can just like move into the world, and you start off as a soldier. It's really cool. It's really awesome. I really, really appreciate the work that modder had, which I don't know off the top of my head, but check that alternate start out on any of the modding networks, whether it's Xbox, PlayStation, which I'm not sure if it's working for PlayStation yet, or check it out on Nexus Mods. It's really great.
I'm just trying to look it up right now. Alternate Starts by Arth Moore. Live Another Life. That sounds really neat, just being able to start.
It is so cool. And there's other mods he allows people to kind of add their own. There's tons of people who have created even more mods that give you even more crazier starts. I like putting as much real. I like playing my Skyrim like I'm playing an episode of Game of Thrones. So I stack in all the crazy stuff. You got hunger and thirst in there, and then like permanent like crime levels. And I told this story once before on the podcast where like I play where if you get caught murdering somebody in one of the towns, the sentence is death, and they will kill your character. And so if you commit murder, you can never go back to that hold without having like the entire army chasing you like at all times, which I play on a very, very high difficulty, which makes it really, really not very good. And I was out hunting and I saw an orc with a shield and a weapon. I was like, look, that dude there. That's a bandit. I'm gonna take this guy out from a mile away with my longbow. Stretched back, shot him, perfect shot right through his neck. He fell down, died, and I was like, yes, so cool, because this was really early on in my playthrough, and I didn't really have very much stuff, and I was down to like 2 arrows, and I got him in my first shot, and then I hear, "Daddy, no!" And turns out he was an NPC, friendly NPC that I murdered, and now I was wanted for murder.
Oh no!
Unless I killed the child, so I was just like, well, there's a save that I'm not using again. I play with a mod that when you die through like either execution or like I have this thing called Death Alternative. When you die, it erases your saved games, so you have to start over from scratch. Yeah. So I was just like, well, that's that. Like I didn't immediately give up, but I was like, yeah, less than 5 minutes into the game, I was walking to the gallows. So yeah, pretty.
That's that's actually a lot like Outlast, how they run their insane mode.
Yeah.
Or you.
And
I like that. Right back at the very beginning, if you end up dying, and it's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but it's worth it.
I am looking forward to seeing. I know you did some videos on that. I'm looking forward to seeing those when they're out.
I haven't done any videos on those.
No, Kat.
I have.
Oh, Kat. Sorry, yes.
Oh, it's not all about you, Saib.
I got about halfway through it, and I lost it because I was doing so well.
Yeah. By the way, I just got to correct what I said earlier quickly. There is an alternate start mod by Arth Moore, but there's a whole bunch of other ones. I don't know which one it is that Saib was talking about.
It's Live Another Life.
Live Another Life? Okay,
that's the base mod. So Live Another Life is available up on Nexus already, and I think it's already up for the Xbox. And that's the base one, but there are people who have built off of it. So this is a nice thing when you have a modder who really knows what he's doing. He sets up the groundwork, or like a foundation for other people to build up off, and that's what you have with this mod. So it's kind of like a requirement for all of the other mods that use that same framework for that. So
okay, well, and so once again, modders have really, they add so much to a game, and we've talked about this in videos and podcasts, and we've talked about this tons before. But the fact that they can create better mesh models and graphics in a day after after the game is released. Well, not a day. Obviously, some of them pre-existed, but.
Well, Caliente is who we covered for Fallout 4, is working on a new mod for Skyrim SE, and it's coming along pretty good. They've already got the Outfoot Studio out, and it's headed in a good direction. But honestly, sometimes I really wonder why the game devs, especially from the smaller studios, don't outsource some of this stuff sometimes. Like, hey, if you want to make this for free for us, we'll either pay you what we can, or we'll give you a name in the credits and some bragging rights. I don't know why some companies don't embrace that, because Caliente spends Caliente and I'm forgetting his name. Caliente and her partner in the modding universe. I'm so sorry I forgot your name. They work tirelessly, and for weeks and weeks and weeks of effort they put into the new bodies and the new hands, the new feet, and that improves the game on so many very detailed ways, like the fact that you got an outfit studio that you can tweak and customize outfits and armors and stuff like that. It's brilliant. It's wonderful, and I really, really appreciate the work that they put into it. And I know that sometimes the developers don't have the ability to spend that same amount of time on their product, and it really does kind of blow them out of the water. So I can see why. It's kind of it's kind of sad that they can't reach out and say, hey, please do this. But at least they are appreciative of the work that goes in. We've got the Game Awards coming up right away, and we've got that great mod for Skyrim that added 100 and some hours to the game with a whole new continent, and that's up for one of the fan creations of the year. At least Bethesda reaches out and supports and encourages that kind of stuff. Whereas another company like Nintendo, when they get their fingers into the awards group, they remove. They don't just put down. They actually remove anybody who's worked on games that are similar to theirs or an alteration
fan
of
games,
their games.
the
The fan games. They remove them, and then they sue them, and then they ban them from every possible. I can't. I don't understand.
I can't believe it. Like there are I love the speedrunning community, and one of the Mario games are some of the favorites that people speedrun, and there's people have made these fan-made ROM hacks, especially of Super Mario World, and some that just like these crazy, ridiculously hard mods of the original Super Mario World, and they're very popular in the community, and it just shows that these people love they love these games, but some of the guys I've watched who speedrun these and stream these, they've had their channels completely destroyed. Like they'll have a fairly semi-popular YouTube channel that Nintendo swoops in and basically destroys them, and it's very sad. And so I'm not afraid to go on record as saying Nintendo really doesn't respect its fans, and I say that as someone
they really don't.
I say that as someone who loves Nintendo's content. I love their IP.
Oh, me too.
I'm addicted to Mario Maker. Like
I've always been a Nintendo person ever since like the NES and the SNES. We had both of those when I was growing up. And
yeah,
that's like all we used to do, especially with Super Mario World and what was another one?
Yeah,
there was a ton of them that we used to play.
But now, like we can't. Like I said, I love Mario Maker, but I can't put a Mario Maker video up on our channel without first partnering with Nintendo and agreeing to basically
never
basically
critique them.
Yeah. You can never say anything negative. You can never you have to follow all these rules. You have to give them a cut of your revenue. Which so we have talked about it multiple times, and we've just said, it's not worth it. Let's stick to the companies who really don't just respect their fans, but they appreciate where their fan base is at. They appreciate that this is not the year 1988. This is, their fans are people who not only love their games, like Bethesda is a prime example. I mean, they're so great with this stuff. Even at E3, like they did a montage of fan created videos and artwork and stuff. Like Nintendo would have been horrified by the kind of stuff
the concept of it.
Concept of that would be it almost seems offensive to them, and I don't know if that's a cultural thing or if they're just stuck in the past, but Bethesda embraces that, and so it's fantastic, and like we love creating stuff using their IP, and there are lots of other companies that are like that, and lots of indie developers that are like that that are just it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's something that hopefully they can learn from shortly. Otherwise, I really feel that it'll come back to hurt them eventually, is we are moving in the direction of greater and greater fan interaction, and games that kind of like hide themselves away and don't allow people to interact with the process. Some of these bigger games, they often can hurt because of that. It's not to say that all games need to be basically open source creation. That's not a good idea, and story and effect is something that you need to really guard quite well. But what often happens is they become too protective. They don't involve the community. They don't even ask what the community is looking for. They don't run their concepts through, and we saw the worst case scenario of that this year with a little game called No Man's Sky, where it's like hey, here's this great concept that we didn't bother to run past anybody for more than 5 minutes, because apparently the game's only fun if you're playing for 5 minutes at a time. So, once every 3 months. Yes, that case, yes, it is. That is what makes it fun. But unfortunately, it's not what makes it, have replay value past that first hour. The first 3 hours of the game of No Man's Sky was brilliant, was great, was fun, was engaging, was like, oh my goodness, what's next? And then you realize that the next 3 hours and the next 3 hours and the next 3 hours are identical to your first 3 hours. And then that's like, how do you miss with that? How do you totally misjudge the whole concept of where the industry, where everything was going at?
Yeah.
And that's where you run into.
I read an article about that this week, and it was talking about actually a reference to the Nintendo Next. That is what it's called, right? It was called the NX, and now it's called the Next. Okay, good. And it was talking about how this has been so super overhyped, and we saw footage of Skyrim can run on it, and now nobody's sure if Skyrim's actually going to be available on the Next, or if it was just sort of a tech demo. Nobody knows what's happening, or if there's even going to be a Legend of Zelda game on its.
The Legend of Zelda is happening.
It is happening, but
but is it happening at launch? That's the I think
it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be happening on launch. It's one of the first games that's supposed to be available for it, as far as I know.
Yeah,
I only know this because I'm a huge Zelda fan, so I've been following it for the last couple of years because they've been developing it for the last couple of years. So.
Yes. Well, and can I tell people about your key rack that it's
sure.
It's so awesome that I was dropping some stuff off at Kat's place, and she's got, what is it called? The things where you hang your keys. It's got hooks on it. Key hanging.
I don't even know what
it's a key hanging thing. Anyway, it's got the scene in the cave from the very first Zelda. The
pixelated scene where you're in the cave and you're getting your items.
Yeah, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
Take this.
And you're grabbing your keys. And I'm thinking, how epic is that every time you leave your house,
you feel important.
You feel empowered. It's like, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this. I got it, old man. Just don't stab anyone with your keys on the way out of the...
but that sounds like so much fun.
I'm sure it is until you're in front of a judge. But anyway, they compared the Nintendo Next to... in this article, they compared the Nintendo Next to No Man's Sky and said, this is what's wrong with modern gaming culture. This overhyping of everything that winds up being a disappointment. And they've, this has happened with past consoles from Nintendo. And don't get me wrong, I do love Nintendo's products.
Yeah.
But yeah, as we saw with No Man's Sky, it's you can hype something and then have it be a major letdown, and then people are like, well thanks for that. Yeah. And
that's my take with Destiny as well.
Yeah.
It's so overhyped, but once you get through the main storyline and the DLC storyline, you really don't have a whole lot to do. You really don't. You sit there and you do your raids over and over again, and then you're farming for different things. They're always coming out with new gear that you have to farm for, and it's all just the exact same thing. I played Destiny for a good 3 weeks straight from I don't know, 10 o'clock in the morning when I got up till about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, like the next morning. And that was about 3 weeks straight of this. I beat the main storyline as well as the one DLC, the Taken King DLC. Beat them all within about 4 days, not even. Like
and then that
very
was
short.
And then that was it after that, eh?
That was about it.
And how many hours? How many hours in a day were you?
Oh God, I don't even want to know.
Are we talking like? So how many hours of content total is what I'm wondering?
I have to tell you exactly how many hours I put into it. So.
Lots and lots and lots.
Then on the flip side, you have companies like Bethesda, whom I would consider, I would say they underhyped their products. And now there are people who are going to say, "What? There was so much hype about Fallout 4, etc." Yes,
there really wasn't. There was and there wasn't.
Well, they launched it right, and I mean that's the big thing to remember is that when you launch a game, if you launch it, like Bethesda did with Fallout 4, like that's gonna go a long way. I really do wish that in some stages, like the single player, be kept really tight-lipped. I think always, but the multiplayer and like the core game functions, they need to be they need to have people interact with them, but then surprise the drops out too. I know that sounds a little like counter make sure that you have people testing them, but don't let anybody know about them. Like there's a line that you can find there, and it's difficult to walk it, but I think if you can, that's what really makes your products good. Is you're not promising the moon, you're just making sure that the game is fun. You're just making sure that the game is has good entertainment value to it, and that's what some companies are really missing out these days. And it's...
But yeah, I agree that it's released right, and I find they consistently do that. Dishonored 2 is another one that I think was released very well, and I think they told us too much about it in advance. That's my personal opinion. I think I would have liked a bit more surprise. I actually I deliberately avoided watching new trailers and like the pre-launch gameplay videos and stuff. It was everywhere, and there were like people playing through these levels, and I was like, I don't want this. I don't want spoilers. I want to be surprised.
And then remember that time that I sent you the ending details? You got that email, right?
No, thankfully. I think
Oh.
You're on my spam list. But anyway.
Crap.
Well, because you always send me crap like that, so
It makes sense.
Well, my life ruined.
It's true. I do get a lot of info under the table.
So anyway, I'm joking. He's not on my spam list, but there's often times where I'm like, why are you telling me this? And then there's like, dude, I don't want to know this. But Dishonored 2.
But sometimes you have to know it. Like okay, so should we talk go a little bit more into Mass Effect? And,
let's
finish out the podcast.
Let's touch on it. Maybe let's push the major Mass Effect discussion next week, because this is getting. We've been recording a long time, but Okay, let's touch on Mass Effect.
Well, N7 Day was 2 weeks ago, and we didn't get as much information as I wanted to get, and they keep promising information. And I know I just complained about them, gaming companies giving out too much information and then not, following it up with actual information. And that's driving me nuts. It's like George R.R. Martin is currently working with EA as BioWare's main press department guy, and he's like, hey, there's going to be some really awesome things. We're going to have some dragons and we're going to have some undead people. But, you're going to have to wait till season 7, possibly 8, before you really get to see them, in full action. I mean, I know that kind of takes about 10 years, but, it's just been this drag, like, hey, we're going to release something really cool at E3. It's a really short trailer and nothing else. And then, hey, we're going to release something really cool on N7 Day. And you know what? It's just a trailer. Actual gameplay, we're putting that off. They keep putting it off, and it's just driving me mental right now. But that's for the information that we can talk about. The information that we can't talk about, which I do have a lot on, the multiplayer is going to be great, guys. It's going to be awesome. Don't worry. It's going to be really cool. That's about all I can say on that. But the original story, you don't have to have played the other 3 games because thank goodness they're like 80 hours. Kattie Kat that was talking about potentially playing through all 3 games before getting into the next one. I don't think you have enough time. It's
I have nothing but time
from
right
now till March. That's not a lot of time, and
I have put in 124 hours on Destiny within less than 2 months.
Okay, well then you might be able to make it because those are long. Especially if you do it you want the perfect happy endings for everything. It takes a long time, and it's gonna be brutal. But for people who are wondering, there's been a lot of talk about, this trip to Andromeda is just a short thing. This is just in this game here because it hasn't been announced as a trilogy. The next game could possibly be in the Milky Way. I hate to burst your bubbles, and this is about as official as you're going to hear until probably sometime midsummer next year. All the new stories in Mass Effect for the next 4 or 5 games are going to be in Andromeda unless something serious happens with the dev team and the official direction of the story. It's because in Mass Effect 3, I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but the writers kind of wrote themselves into a very tiny, unescapable box. And unfortunately, without kind of going against what they said they were going to do, which they have done before. So I mean, like I said, it's possible, but it would kind of take a bit of a major shakeup in their planning and format. We're not going to see the Milky Way, so Andromeda is your new home. Get used to it, but know that they're writing these ones. It's not a space odyssey. It's not a space opera in the sense of it's going to start and it's going to end, like the Mass Effect original trilogy does. They're going to leave as much as they can really open-ended. It's a brand new galaxy, which means they've got so much more to explore, and the exploring can go on for several games, and the storylines can really branch out. There's so much content that is being written into being made available for future content. They're not writing themselves into a box, which is what happened as soon as you played Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2. You knew that Mass Effect 3 was going to write you into this terrible box and nobody was going to get out of it. And unfortunately, that's something that we kind of have to live with as far as the Milky Way galaxy goes. But the Andromeda galaxy, new story, new direction. Don't have to play the originals. It's going to be great. It's really going to be top drawer as far as the experience. Don't, wish for it to cure your cancer. But it's going to be one of the best games out there for sure. You know how people overestimate these things. So,
for sure.
Yeah. So as far as the inside info that I'm getting on the beautiful Mass Effect 4, aka Mass Effect Andromeda, it's going to be great. The only thing that we're not going to see that I really wish that we could see is mods for the game, but obviously there's going to be a big multiplayer component to it, so that's not necessarily something that is strictly possible, and the engine that they're using doesn't really allow for that. So that kind of sucks, but at the same time, it's really great because this game is going to be awesome. You guys, you're going to be so excited to see this new stuff. It's going to be great.
I'm pretty excited
for
it. I haven't even played the other ones.
Yeah. Now, Ash and Kat have both not played the original Mass Effect. Do you guys have any generalized quick questions for representing the people who've never played the series and are wondering about it?
You know what? Let's push that to a future podcast.
Okay, then we'll talk about that in a future podcast.
There's so much more to talk about. There's so much
questions and comments. And if you're wondering about the Mass Effect, and the next episode, we'll make it very Mass Effect-y, because we've got some more information coming out on it pretty shortly, I believe.
You heard it.
And then the only other thing I want to add is there's also a big new DLC expansion coming up for Skyrim SE. I heard it here first.
Say what now? You're going to drop that bomb on us right at the end? Okay, then.
And Fallout 4. There's a new thing coming. It's going to be great. It's still a ways out, but it's going to be really, really cool. So hang in there. It's going to be awesome. Probably not going to hear about it for... Unless they shock me, probably not till like spring or... Yeah, probably not till spring to 2017.
Well, plenty coming in the meantime. All right, thanks for listening. This has been the Triple S Podcast live from the NUKA-COLA Lounge.